the support and collaboration up until now. By the way, yes, we are recording the event, so everyone should be aware. So our primary goal today is to introduce you to the MedDMO project and provide an overview of the fact-checking processes, followed by our dedicated team of fact-checkers. So we will give an overview of how we do the actual work, the fact-checking. MedDMO unites digital investigation journalists, media literacy experts, and academic researchers from Cyprus, Greece, and Malta. We are working together with you and the extended community of journalists and investigators to combat the disinformation crisis, which, as you all know, poses a significant threat to our democracies and to the cohesion of our societies. MedDMO is part of EDMO, which is the EU-funded European Digital Media Observatory, which is a formal, broader network across Europe, tackling disinformation narratives and helping to address the polarization of our societies caused by disinformation. Next with us, we have Nikos Sarris, who is our coordinator, and from ATC, the Athens Technology Center, and our coordinator will provide you with more detailed insights into the project and its mission shortly. One of our key missions at MedDMO is to collaborate with and support the broadcasting authorities in Malta, Cyprus, and Greece. We're very pleased to have established strong connections with the Maltese Broadcasting Authority, which enable us to organize this webinar today. Additionally, we are working closely with the Greek National Council, which is the corresponding authority at Greece for radio and television, and the Cyprus Radio Television Authority. So these three national authorities that regulate broadcasting and other media in their respective countries. So many thanks to Megan Malia and George Malia from the University of Malta. They are here with us for the significant contribution to organizing this webinar. And without further ado, I want to hand the floor over to Dr. Joanna Spiteri, who is here with us, to also say hello from the Maltese Broadcasting Authority. Joanna, can you hear us? Can you?
Yes. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Sorry for being a bit late, but got stuck in Valletta. I had an urgent meeting to attend to. Yes, we are obviously together with other regulators, which are the Cypriot regulator and the Greek regulator. We are got into this project. Obviously, this is the first try. So, as you know, we have also discussed perhaps other tasks or projects which we can offer also to Maltese journalists and also to students. Obviously, I'm looking also forward to this presentation because it's also a learning experience for me and for us as well. But for sure, this will not be the last event. Obviously, this is the first try, and we'll see even together with our other colleagues other tasks and exercises for journalists.
Thank you, Joanna. So next with us is Nikos Sarris, who is the coordinator of MedDMO, and he's from the Center for Research and Innovation and Technology in Greece, CERT, also known as EKETA in Greece, in Greek. Nikos, the floor is yours.
Okay. Let me share my screen. I
can hear you. Yeah.
You can hear me, you can see me. Hopefully the slideshow will also start. Yes, I will say a few words about MedDMO, although you did the general introduction as well, and put it in the context of the greater plan of Europe against disinformation, which in practice started around 2018 with the constitution of a high-level expert group who set up a plan on how the European Commission should tackle disinformation. Then there was the first project that started to put that in motion, the SOMA project, which started in 2018 as well. Then the EDMO was the continuation of this project, the first version of EDMO. EDMO was a project with 4 partners at the time, and it was deemed necessary that this project was helped by what we call hubs. So there were another 12 projects that were started to be funding through 2 waves, wave 1 in 21 and wave 2 in 22. We were part of wave 2, and each hub covers 1 or more EU member states. Our hub covers Cyprus, Greece, and Malta. And we're trying to set up a fact-checking ecosystem that, based on the context of EDMO, supports citizens, local media, and public authorities. The consortium consists of technology partners as CERT, which I'm affiliated to, which is a research center mainly based in Thessaloniki. ATC, which is a software company that builds software that helps counter disinformation, is based in Athens. We have universities in Thessaloniki, the Aristotle University Thessaloniki, the Department of Journalism, the University of Malta, as you know, the Department of Communication, and then the Departments of Journalism from the University of Cyprus and the Cyprus University of Technology. And then we have fact-checkers. We have the French press agency, AFP, which coordinates the whole action of fact-checking in the project in all 3 countries, and does actual fact-checking in Greece and Cyprus. And then dedicated fact-checking happens in Greece through Ellinika Hoaxes, in Cyprus through the Cyprus University of Technology, and through Fact-Check-Cyprus, which has been founded by the Cyprus University of Technology, in Times of Malta in Malta. In the project, just to say a few things on how we work and how you can find our work necessary. So I would just like to mention that we have a collaboration environment which helps us share our work and do our work together. We have tools that help us analyze image and video automatically and in manual ways, sharing again our findings between the fact checkers. We have a community where we invite you all to be part of, and what the community does is the way that we try to involve it is by receiving advice from them, receiving notification from them, involving them in our work, in campaigns, promoting through them our content and activity, but also promoting the work of our community, so that we receive also content from them and promote it through our channels, involve them in the media literacy campaigns, and so on, and involve them in all our activities. So we would very much like to invite you to become members if you're not already members in our community. And one example was that roundtable with the Vice President of the European Commission, Vera Jourova, who came to Athens and asked us to organize a roundtable discussion, and there we involved mostly members from our community. As I said, we have the fact checkers that cover all 3 countries. The plan is to have more than 1,000 fact checks through the duration of the project. We are halfway through. Apart from the fact checks, we do also more deep investigations on disinformation campaigns, and we try to answer questions like those: who is spreading the campaign? What are the platforms that we find it on? How widely is it being spread? What techniques are being used? And are there similar campaigns in other countries and spotted by other EDMO hubs? And we put together reports. The first one is already out there on our website, and it refers to a disinformation campaign on wildfires in Greece last year. We try to pick topics that are of wider interest to the 3 countries and to Europe in general, and the ones that you see here are examples. An important activity is media literacy activity. So we try to create content that can be useful, and you can find this content on our website or following our presence on social media. For example, we have put together one quite interesting guide on deepfakes. We have put together tutorials, which are short videos on countering disinformation. We have uploaded information on verification tools that you may find useful to use in your everyday work. And you will also find our research, our studies, and our methodologies on the website as well. We also do presentations like this one, and the ones that we think are useful, we upload them on SlideShare, where you can find them and use them as such, or use content from these presentations. We go to schools to try to explain the phenomenon and try to get kids interested and informed on what they can do to counter disinformation. We go to professionals. We had organized in Malta a workshop where we try to train professionals on ways, on methods and techniques that they can use. We go to students, we go to universities, and we organize lectures. And apart from that, another important area is monitoring the media ecosystem. So we try to monitor to see what platforms are doing, if they abide with the code of practice that you may be aware of. We analyze the reports that they are publishing on the reporting on the ways that they abide to the code of practice, which is becoming the DSA. We have looked in particular measures, and particularly for the 3 countries, of course. And apart from the manual work, where we will also find our first report published on our website, we try to develop tools that will eventually automate some of these tasks and make them more easy to replicate. Another interesting piece of research and publication is the Media Plurality Report, again referring to the 3 countries, which is published for the previous year, and in October we will publish the one for the next year, for 2023. We have found common challenges in the 3 countries, which you may find also interesting, as reliance on social media, difficulties in accessing public information, and more common ground in the 3 countries. And we have communication channels, various communication channels, which you can follow to see to follow our work and be able to use our results. Main point of reference is our website, which is bilingual. There are 2 flags up in the top right, which you can click and get access to different interface, but also to different content. So the Maltese fact checks are available under the English version. The fact checks in Greek about Greece and Cyprus are in the Greek version. But in the English version, you will also find fact checks on Greece and Cyprus in the English language. You can easily navigate through the fact checks through categories, and you can also easily search through them through the archive that we have available on the website. So that's just a quick overview of the project and what you can use, how you can make use of it. So I will pass the floor now to the more practical talk on fact-checking activities.
Thank you, Nikos. Our next speaker is Neville Borg from the Times of Malta, our fact checker in Malta.
Thank you, Pantelitsa. Can I share my screen? Because I have a little presentation. Let me see. So, can everyone see my screen? Is it working?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So thank you for being here. First of all, it's a pleasure to speak to all of you. What I'm going to do basically in this little presentation is I'm going to kind of zoom through a couple of examples of fact checks that we've run at the Times of Malta, and then talk a little bit about, why we decide to fact check what we fact check, and more or less how we do it, basically. So first of all, we've started fact checking thanks to the MedDMO project, essentially. So we started our fact checking service in January of last year. Essentially, we've added this little fact check tab to the top of our homepage, which you can see over here, and that takes you to a list of all the fact checks we've published throughout the past, 18 months or whatever it's been. So please do go ahead and have a look through them, browse through them, and read any that are of interest. So what sort of things do we fact check? What sort of claims do we look into? And I've here kind of divided them into 6 different categories. Obviously, there are overlaps, and obviously there are some things that don't fall very neatly within these 6 categories, but perhaps this will give you a little idea of what sort of things we look into. The first one is political claims. We also look into scams and hoaxes, which are becoming more and more widespread and more kind of difficult to detect, I'd say. We look into cases of scaremongering, so people kind of making claims that try to instill fear or uncertainty in people. We look into broader misconceptions, so people making claims that are perhaps a little bit uninformed, but ultimately incorrect. We look into deep fakes, manipulated content, images, videos, things like that. And we also look into what I'm referring here to as malinformation, which I'll explain a little bit later. Political claims. So the first example I have here is a fact check that we ran last year when the government at the time was resisting calls to carry out a public inquiry into the death of Jean-Paul Sophia, who was basically a construction worker who, I'm sure you all know, died on site. And at that time, the claim was that, there's a magisterial inquiry underway. A public inquiry won't actually add anything to the process because they ultimately look into the same things, come to the same conclusion. We looked into that and determined that it was false, that a public inquiry and a magisterial inquiry are quite clearly 2 distinct processes, looking at different issues, reaching different conclusions. Another example from the beginning of this year, I believe, was a series of claims into what a drug reform would actually mean. So there were a lot of fears that a drug reform that the government was proposing would basically allow people to carry up to 500 ecstasy pills and get off scot-free, basically. And that's not quite what the reform was proposing. So we looked into some of those claims. Another one, I think, as well from this year, if I'm remembering well, is the Prime Minister's claims that a magisterial inquiry into the Vitals Hospitals issue was facing exaggerated delays, which is what he claimed. That was a little bit more difficult to fact check because it's not a categorical claim. So we had to kind of approach it from the perspective of how long do inquiries usually take? Is it fair to say that this inquiry is facing an exaggerated delay? And basically what we found is that it is perfectly normal for for inquiries to take more or less as long as this particular inquiry was taking. So that claim was a little bit off. Scams. We come across a lot of scams. We very often don't fact check them unless they are being widely shared or unless we are aware that a lot of people are basically falling for them. We receive police information telling us that there's a scam going around. And in that case, we try to be a little bit more proactive and we fact check them, basically. This is an example of a scam that's very common. So you'll get a person posting on a Facebook group saying, this child is missing, or this child, I found this abandoned child in Sliema in this case, but we've seen others in Marsa Scala and in other places. And they ask people to share the post as widely as they possibly can. And then eventually they change the content of the page and the post to basically scam people into giving over their details, basically. We see a lot of similar scams featuring injured or dead dogs. Again, people ask, they're kind of sympathy scams. So the people running the scam post Facebook posts about an injured dog or a dead dog, and they ask people to share the post as widely as possible. Many times these sort of posts are shared thousands and thousands of times. So they do receive very, very wide coverage. And then you have kind of more typical kind of scams, often using kind of current issues. So the one I've highlighted here was a scam post that was cloning the Times of Malta website, using details from Daphne Caruana Galizia's assassination, details about the ongoing case, and basically trying to scam people out of handing over their credit card details. Ultimately, it's a crypto scam. That's what it was. But we've seen similar scams featuring Times of Malta interviews. So an interview that our editor Herman Grech carried out with former Prime Minister Joseph Muscat. Another interview that one of our journalists, Mark Lawrence Zamit, carried out with Robert Abela, the current Prime Minister. These sort of scams crop up from time to time. Scaremongering posts. We come across quite a few of these, and again, they're often quite related to what the public discourse within the country is at the time. For instance, when Europride came to Malta last September, we came across a lot of misleading posts about the LGBTQ community, about the spread of disease within the community, about trans issues as well. So we approached those through a fact check as well, and we debunked several claims there. This was quite an interesting one because it involved the Serbian community in Malta, one of the more popular migrant communities, and basically there was a rumor spread amongst a number of Facebook groups within the Serbian community talking about how a young child was killed at Salina Park, killed by a security officer. And this rumor spread and spread and spread, when in reality it turned out that there was no incident. It was a rumor that started from the daughter, I believe, of one of the members of the community and spread across the community. And it caused quite some panic within the community itself, because they were asking themselves, why is the media not reporting on this? Why is no one telling us what happened to this boy? Why are we kept in the dark? And it turned out not to be true, thankfully. This is one we actually published yesterday, I believe, and it comes up quite often. We get a lot of misleading claims and false claims about population numbers. So we've had people saying that the population is at 800,000. We've had people yesterday saying that it's at 717,000. We've had people saying that the population doubled since a certain time. So they're claims that come up frequently, and we will continue to fact check them as they come up. Misconceptions. These are things that basically are being widely spread across public discourse and aren't always entirely accurate or need to be clarified. So we get a lot of kind of confused statements about how many people are on the government payroll, how much the government is spending on civil servants, this sort of thing. Last year, at the time of the Small Nations Games, there were a lot of incorrect claims about how many athletes within the Maltese contingent were awarded a passport simply to participate in the games. And some claims turned out not to be true over there. And this is, again, something from earlier this year when people realized that the Manuel Island concession agreement was due to expire potentially. And there was the belief that the government had the authority to take the island back. Whereas in reality, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Again, deep fakes and manipulated images. This was quite an entertaining one from earlier this year at the beginning of the election campaign, when the Sigiui mayor posted a photo of himself talking about the beauty of his town, and he basically photoshopped the weeds and the broken pavement out of his image, and we obviously flagged that. We also get a lot of deepfakes related to scams. So this was one about Ursula von der Leyen promoting an investment scheme, a crypto scheme, which obviously wasn't true. And we also get them with local political figures. So this was one featuring Joseph Muscat and Robert Abela, again, promoting a crypto platform. Usually these take footage from an interview from a couple of years back, and they overlay them with an audio deepfake, essentially. Malinformation. I mean, the academic literature refers to malinformation as things that are substantially true, but are presented in a different context. So, for instance, in this case, a video of a fight in San Juan, this was last year, it was being shared through social media saying, look, there was this fight in San Juan yesterday. Whereas in reality, the footage was actually from 2016. Same case here. There was this photo of a dorm room being shared. It's actually a dorm room in Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken, but it was being shared as though it's a accommodation in Pietà, which obviously wasn't the case. And this was footage of a local gangster. There were fears that he was out on bail. And was being, people were sharing footage from his Instagram page, but the footage had actually been posted months and months earlier. So it was real footage, but it was being presented in a misleading context. So I know I don't have a lot of time, but just a couple of words on what we fact check and how we decide what to fact check. The first consideration is, can a claim actually be fact checked? This is quite tricky, especially when it comes to political claims, because many times political claims are couched in very kind of cautious language, and it's very difficult for them to be disproven. So we know that some statements are potentially misleading or potentially false, but it's tricky to disprove them, essentially. So we always try to, before we embark on a fact check, we try to understand whether the claim that we want to fact check can actually be proven incorrect, essentially, or proven to be misleading. We also ask ourselves who is actually making the claim. Obviously, if it's a public figure, if it's a politician, if it's someone in a position of authority, that gives it additional weight, and we place extra responsibility on fact-checking people within positions of authority, because obviously they should know better ultimately. And we also look at the public interest. So we look at things like, how widely is this claim being shared? What sort of impact can it have on society? Is it trying to shape an issue that is within the public discourse and that can have potentially harmful implications on that particular public discussion? So we look into all these issues. How do we do it? How do we debunk misinformation? Many times, and something that we try to do very often, is we try to use information that's in the public domain. Because one of the things we want to do potentially is encourage our readers to be in a position to carry out the same fact check themselves if they want to. So we look at laws, we look at the criminal code, we look at statistics that come from reliable sources, reliable and as much as possible independent sources. And we try to verify whether the claim that's being made tallies with the statistics we have, with the laws, with the criminal code, with any other public data that we have. So, for instance, a couple of months ago, we had the Prime Minister saying that I think he said the number of asylum seekers arriving in Malta is lower than it's ever been. In that case, we got statistics from Malta's National Statistics Office, but also UNHCR, which show that actually, no, it's not the lowest that it's ever been. It's relatively low, but it has been lower. So again, we go to reliable sources that we trust, and we, as much as possible, we try to verify across different sources. In some cases, we use things like reverse image searches and geolocation tracking, particularly in cases like the malinformation that I spoke about earlier, whereas in many cases, reverse searches on images or videos allow us to identify whether that particular image or video has been manipulated or has already been posted years ahead, years prior. We also use things like deepfake detection software. I've listed one here, which is InVid, We Verify, but there are many others. ATC develops some very good ones as well. And we use these mostly for things like the deepfake scams, because those allow us to identify whether video has been manipulated, whether images have been manipulated, and what the manipulation was. And they allow us to track the original source of the video or of the image. And ultimately, and probably the most important thing, is this good old-fashioned journalism. So in many cases, we go to sources to ask for first-hand information. So, for instance, in the case of the Serbian boy who was allegedly killed, we went to the health authorities, we went to the hospital, we went to the police, and we verified that there were no incidents reported, that there was no ambulance called on scene, that there were no reports of any deaths or any injuries within the park. We went to the local council, to the mayor, who said the same thing. So again, in many cases, it's just kind of old-fashioned journalism where we have to verify across different sources that the information we have is correct. That's it from my end. I hope I didn't exceed my 10-minute allocation. But if you have any questions, please do let me know. And this is my email address. Please do get in touch if you ever need to write to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Neville. I think we can proceed to the next presentation by Dr. Loukia from the Fact-Check-Cyprus.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Loukia from Cyprus. Let me try and share my screen. So I was asked to present a fact check and take you through the process that we've gone through to discover our sources and to debunk the claims. So can you see my screen?
Yes, Loukia.
Yes. So this is the actual article that we published online already, and I'm going to present a very interesting claim that went viral just before the European elections, which was that the president of Ukraine he purchased a luxury hotel in occupied Cyprus, in North Cyprus, which is now occupied by the Turks. So this was just ahead of the European elections, a few days before, and there was a lot of discussion in Greek-speaking social media platforms, but also in official media reports. So these are some examples of what went around the internet. Claims that Zelensky is he's protesting about the Russian invasion, but he's actually supporting Turkey's invasion in Cyprus. So there was a lot of Russian propaganda going around. So what did we do? We decided to check the claim. First of all, we searched for the hotels website. So the hotel's official website is this one here. And as you can see at the top, there is a strip saying Wayback Machine. So this is an archive where we save the links to various web pages. So even if the page changes or it expires or it's gone, we still have them saved in this archive. So this is the official website of the hotel. However, we found in the same place by other people. On the, hold on a second, that was, yes, on the 29th of May, 2024. So a few days before the news for Zelensky's purchase started going viral. And you can see here the fake website, which has no reference to the company that was supposed to have purchased the hotel that belongs or is related to Zelensky. However, a few days later, this changed and there appeared a different version of the website with a reference to this company. So you can see it here at the bottom, copyright at 2024 Film Heritage Incorporation. So as time went by, there were more things being added to the story to make it more credible. So this was the fake website as opposed to the real website. What we found was that the claim first appeared in a Turkish website publication. The claim supported that the purchase took place in May and that it cost up to £150 million. And again, the same page was claiming that the hotel is no longer accepting bookings, like who was the owner of the hotel. The hotel, we found that it was owned by the group, by the Oscar Group. These are the real owners. The claim in the Turkish website was that it was purchased by the Panama Papers, is related in some way to Zelensky. So he had some stakes in this offshore company. Then after this, the appearance of this Turkish website, the allegations started spreading. It went viral in several pro-Russian social media accounts. And we noticed it also in the Pravda network. So what is the Pravda network? This is quite interesting to look at. You can, let me see if I can take you to the page so you can see it. Sorry, give me a second. Sorry, 1 second. So the Pravda network is, you cannot see it yet, can you? No. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So this is a network of websites which have appeared in 2023, and they spread Russian propaganda. And a few months ago, in April 2024, some fact-checkers in Europe, including Thanos Sidistas, who is a collaborator of us in Greece, And in collaboration with people from MedDMO, they realized that this network is spreading in various languages in Europe, so in Greek, Italian, Bulgarian, Danish, Dutch, and this was being intensified right before the European elections. So you can read all about it in the MedDMO website. We have a link in our article as well. So as soon as we've noticed this appearing in one of these networks, it soon became evident that something was going really wrong with this piece of news. So let's go back to the description in the actual article. So what did we do? So we did two things basically. We wanted to check if indeed there could be no bookings to this hotel. So we visited booking.com. We tried to make a booking, and indeed we couldn't. But the reason we couldn't was not that there was some kind of that the hotel was in bookings from within the European Union because of the special status of Northern Cyprus, right? So, and you can see here the message we got. So what we did was that we used the VPN and we tried booking again through another country that was outside the EU. So we tried Israel. And then we were allowed to book without problems. The hotel appeared open. But apart from this, we also called the casino itself, the hotel. We tried to book through them as well. They said we could freely book. And we also asked to speak to a manager of the hotel. The guy immediately understood what this was about. We told them that we're making this investigation. He said, oh, about Zelensky. And he said that all of this is nonsense. He actually used another word that I cannot use with you right now. But he said that this is all nonsense. The hotel hasn't been sold. Also, the Cypriot president gave some comments on the issue that the purchase wasn't made. And yes, so this was the process by which we checked this claim. So we went to the archive and checked the various websites from before. We checked where it first appeared. So this Turkish website, and where it went viral, so part of the Pravda network. And then we went straight to the source, calling the hotel, confirming that this claim was not valid, and also going through the booking.com application from where we could debunk this claim as well, that we couldn't make bookings. And you can find all the details here in the website with pictures. I mean, in the fact-check article, with pictures and links to the sources, as well as to the Wayback Machine. I don't know if you have any questions, and I think I was quite in time.
Yes, Loukia, thanks a lot for presenting the whole investigation. If you can please share the URL in the chat, so also the participants can read the fact-checking article.
Yeah.
And I think now we can pass the floor to Stylianos, Pournis from Ellinika Hoaxes.
Hello everyone. So let me start by sharing my screen as well. Share. And then let's mute this one. Okay, please let me know if you can all share my screen.
Yes, I guess we can.
You can. Perfect. So let's start. Yeah, first of all, let me start by saying that I represent Ellinika Hoaxes. Ellinika Hoaxes is basically the first fact-checking organization in Greece. It all started as a blog, they operated as a blog, but as the fact-checking operation and the years passed, basically, Ellinika Hoaxes got to be a member of the international fact-checking community, namely the IFCN, and also in 2019 we actually started our collaboration with Meta under third-party fact-checking program. This is basically a fact-checking program where independent fact-checkers like Ellinika Hoaxes work to identify, debunk, and rate misinformation circulating on Meta's platforms like Facebook, Instagram, etc. Following that, in 2022, we also became a member with MedDMO, AI for Trust on 2023, and now in 2024, we also are part of the EFCSN family, which is the European Fact-Checking Standards Network, another European network with almost 40 fact-checking organizations. So before I present I will be presenting you today a misinformation narrative. But before I delve into that, I think it would be beneficial for everyone that it's not Greek to give you bits of information about how is the Greek media landscape today. So with regards to accessing the news content in 2024, as you can all imagine, social media still thrive. Social media continue to dominate this area. However, according to the latest Reuters digital news report, Facebook is no longer number one. It's not the most prevalent social media. Instagram and TikTok are now increasingly used to get access to news content. Namely, Facebook is now only used for news by 44% of Greeks who are online, down from 68% in 2016. So yeah, and also young Greeks from the age of 18 to 24 are now mostly increasingly turning up to Instagram and TikTok for news updates from news organizations or maybe political influencers and activists, etc., etc. At the same time, in terms of trust in media, so there's a high degree of media concentration in Greece. Both trust and interest in news declined in 2024, and Greece was slow to introduce online subscription models, mostly by investigative journalism efforts like Inside Story. And at the same time, Greek publishers are struggling basically to attract larger audiences on these platforms where in Instagram and TikTok, because these platforms are mostly dominated by social media personalities or smaller digital born brands. So yeah, trust in news in mainstream news outlets remains one of the lowest in Greece, closer to Poland. So this dependence on social media, as you can all understand, gives some space to alternative facts and skepticism towards traditional media, which could potentially lead to make the audiences vulnerable to disinformation. And this is why we think that fact-checking on social media is actually a stepping stone towards information resilience and actually democracy. This is some of disinformation trends and what to expect to see if you work as a fact checker in Greece. So, for example, we deal with disinformation targeting minorities, LGBTQ+, and also members and migrants. We do see lots of religious misinformation in Greece as well. For example, alleged miracles or myths, etc. Since we are on the crossroad of, Asia, we also actually see lots of geopolitical tensions that fuel claims around national security, for example. And we do also seek disinformation about catastrophic weather events in Greece, like floods, wildfires, etc. We also see scams, like Neville said. We pretty much see something like this in Greece as well. So now let's take a closer look at our disinformation narrative. So I will try to be brief and present you the narrative, which is actually linked to a very famous good that derives from trees. It is delicious, and if it is consumed at reasonable amounts, it's very healthy. So this is olive oil. Greece is very famous for that. So I will be examining two claims. The first one would be a claim that we saw that Greek extra virgin olive oil is sold at lower prices in Bulgaria than it is in Greece. And we also saw this pretty much the same claim, but the thing is that this was allegedly proven by a picture of the product displayed on a Bulgarian market. So the first claim suggested that Greek extra virgin olive oil is being sold in Bulgaria for 4 euros. This is the price in leva if you're watching the image. So what we did in order to debunk this claim, we actually start by using openly and publicly available data. So what does that mean? We first started by doing a reverse image search to the image that was circulating. It was allegedly showing that olive oil, extra virgin Greek olive oil, is sold almost half the price in Bulgaria than it is in Greece. So we started with a typical reverse image search. This is a method where digital investigators download the picture, or maybe they can do it online as well. And they basically are trying to see matches of this exact picture using search engines like Google, Yandex, Bing, etc. So this is what we did. We downloaded the picture and we actually did a reverse image search to it. The thing is that we actually find out that this was not in fact a Greek extra virgin olive oil, but it was actually a blend of olive oil and sunflower oil. So this is why the price was that low, and in fact it was never actually sold as an extra virgin olive oil, let alone a Greek extra virgin olive oil. And as you can see, it cannot be displayed in the image that they use to promote this type of misinformation. What we did also was that we actually compared the prices on supermarket catalogs, just to find out that extra virgin olive oils were sold up to 9 or 13 euros per liter. So which was a price that we were expected back then. So it was nowhere near 4 euros that the claim supported in the first place. So as you can see, this was a pretty pretty easy 101 how to debunk a claim circulating online by just using openly available information circulating on the internet. It was a pretty easy debunk, and we also just checked the catalogs to see that normal extra virgin olive oil sells for the expected prices. However, we also identified another claim circulating online, where Greek extra virgin olive oil is sold at the lowest prices in Bulgaria than in Greece, basically the same claim we saw earlier. But allegedly, this was proven by a picture of the product displayed on a Bulgarian market. On the previous case, as you can see, the product never mentioned that it was actually extra virgin olive oil. Whereas in this case, we actually see this is Greek. And down here you can see also the English translation, extra virgin olive oil. So for this investigation we had, to take a different approach. This was more challenging because we actually had something that was allegedly labeled as extra virgin olive oil. So first off, we had to actually again use openly available data. What we did was first to do a reverse image search, and we actually find from this search that the empty container containing this olive oil was actually cost around 2 euros. And if you think that the whole thing was sold for 4 euros, you can probably consider that the price of the actual oil was even less than 4 euros. So yes, we actually used open source data in order to locate as many information as we could. First off, we tried to locate the place that sells this product. So we did that, and this investigation actually led us to Bulgaria. So the first thing that we had to do was actually to drive to Bulgaria and do a more, investigative journalism type of investigation. So this is what we do. We drove to Bulgaria. It was on the city called Petrici. It was something around 2 hours from Thessaloniki, and we visited this place. As you can see, these photos. The first one is from Google Maps, and the second one is our photo. So we checked the prices of extra virgin olive oils in other supermarkets in Petrici, and we found out that the prices range from 11 euros to 15 euros. So it was a bit alarming to us that this oil costs only, this extra virgin olive oil costs only 4 euros. Upon further examination, we actually saw that the bottle itself was missing some certifications that are required for all Greek extra virgin olive oil bottles, and it is required by European law. So this bottle did not have any of this. So this is another alarming point. So what we did was we actually bought 2 bottles of this, and we actually sent one for analysis to a certified laboratory. Yes, so upon examination, we got contacted by some chemists, and they actually told us that this was that the alleged extra virgin olive oil was in fact an admixture, namely a mixture of vegetable fats and which was colored by chlorophyll. So not only the claim was false, but also this product was actually a scam as well. So this was my contribution to this discussion. As you can see, I presented one case where fact checkers could easily debunk something just doing regular work on the office. On the second example, I tried to highlight how some cases of fact checking require actual and traditional, as Neville said, journalist work. So thank you very much for your time, and I'm here for further discussion and questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think we are somehow running out of time, but we have one more presentation by Theophile Bloudanis from the Air France Presse. So I will give the floor to Theophile.
Hi, do you hear me, everyone? Yes, perfect. So hi, I'm Theophile Bloudanis. I'm from Agence Presse in Greece. I'm gonna share my screen. Is everyone seeing it now? I guess so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So I will try to be quick. Most of the things were already said by my colleagues. So first about Agence France Presse, AFP, we have, in fact-checking, we have 150 journalists covering in 26 languages across the world, and since 2023, and in 2023, sorry, we published over 7,000 fact checks. I am in the my team is part of AFP Fact Check in Europe, but we also have in North America, South America, Africa, and Asia. So that's it for our quickly about our network. So what do we fact check? As I said, most of the things were still by my colleagues just before, but mostly we fact check claims online made by politicians on radio, TV, online, and online publications on all social networks such as Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. The topics that we handle are mostly the posts with the greatest impacts, which are rooted in current events. For example, fact-checking wise, we covered the European elections, for example. We also handle topics that are very harmful, that are shared online and can be very harmful, have an immediate effect on life and the real life and reality sometimes, and for which a fact-check investigation can be presented transparently and clearly. By the greatest impact, I mean that in general, these posts are viral, so we handle viral posts. So we handle these, but it's important also to say that we have to be careful on what we handle, and on some things we do not handle. For instance, this can be satirical content which is clearly labeled as such, because sometimes there's a fine line between satirical posts and posts that claim to be satirical but in fact are not. We don't handle opinion either from politicians or any other user online, and of course we can't fact check the future, so we do not fact check future events or claims that are about the future. And also topics for which the fact check investigation cannot be shown transparently and clearly. I'll come back to it on why, but in general, we don't handle very much vague claims that are quite hard to fact check. These are the type of misinformation and disinformation we are monitoring and fact-checking. But as my colleagues presented it before, it's mostly the same things that they presented before. So I'm not gonna talk much about this. If somebody wants this particular photo later, you can contact me on my email. I can gladly send it to you. So now, how do we fact check? What do we fact check? So we first ask ourselves, is the false information viral? Is the false information taken at face value, or is it satirical content? We always ask ourselves these questions. If it's a forecast, if there is a real risk of this actually taking place in the future, does the wording of the claim leave room for doubt? All these questions we ask ourselves in order to continue the fact check. And most importantly, at AFP, we always give a bit more informational context. For example, about the topic, depending on the narratives, but especially if it's a very trending topic. For example, the war between Gaza and Israel. We always try to find at least 2 independent sources to comment on the claim. Is it possible to do that? We cannot consider a simple denial from authorities, for example, or from a single source to be sufficient evidence for a fact check. So before going into the examples, we of course use reliable. We look for reliable information online in order to do the fact check, with at least 1 or 2 independent sources. I say 1 or 2 because it depends again on the topic. If it's a very sensible topic, we usually contact 2 independent sources. If we have enough, if we have enough proof to continue on the fact check, we always contact at least 1 expert, 1 independent source. That doesn't mean we do not contact official sources. For example, last year for the fires that burned north of Greece, or the island of Rhodes, there was some misinformation related to this burning topic, if you allow me to say that. And we had to contact, of course, official sources such as police, firefighters, and health authorities as well. So classic journalism in this sense. So to go into practical examples here, these are 2 examples of fact checks we did beginning of the year. The one on the right was about an AI picture being shared as real. This is one of the narratives we have a lot lately. AI pictures, AI images being shared as real. This particular subject was about the farmer protests in France, where the picture was showing actually huge piles of haystacks in the center of Paris, in front of the Eiffel Tower. I'll get you to this. Come on, here we are. Yeah, and in this case, again, we added some, because it was a trending topic at that time, the farmers' protest all across Europe and especially in France. We found out that this picture was not real, and that in this case directly contacted the creator of the picture, a certain who was actually a French AI artist. And in this case, about AI pictures in particular, for example, we always ask the person who we think created the picture. We always ask them for the prompt, and if they can send us a screenshot of the prompt, which in this case he did, and we had the proof that this was an AI picture created, and at that point such haystacks never existed in front of the Eiffel Tower. Also about AI pictures, we have we can also check for details that seem unnatural, that can be proof of at least proof that these are AI generated pictures. Yeah, and another narrative that we are monitoring here in Greece are the LGBTQ rights, which is a very sensible topic here in Greece. For instance, there were claims in February 2024 saying that a brand of milk in Greece was removing the maternal figure from the milk packages. Just a bit of context: Greece legalized the same-sex marriage and adoption for same-sex couples recently, and a wave of disinformation erupted in Greece against the LGBTQ plus community, and this was one of the examples I wanted to share with you. The main thing in this case is that my colleague did this fact check. In this case, we did first normal journalism, in a sense that we contacted the brand, and secondly, my colleague went into a supermarket and took pictures of these milk packages to prove that the mother figure hadn't been erased from the milk packages. And finally, this is European. This is related to the European Union. Before the elections, there was widespread disinformation about the origins of some European leaders, especially Ursula von der Leyen, saying that their ancestors, parents in this case, were Nazis. In this case, users were sharing this picture showing a young woman giving hand to Adolf Hitler, and the claim was basically that this woman was the grandmother of Ursula von der Leyen. It was an interesting topic in the sense that we had to search. By doing reverse image searches, we found this picture online on a German archive site, where they gave us a bit. The archive site gave us a bit of information about what exactly is showing this picture, but not enough to surely tell that this was not Ursula von der Leyen's mother. We contacted and then began a quite long investigation trying to contact this archive site, some other authorities in Germany that could give us a clue on who was this woman. But by the end, our most important argument was that in genealogy books that are available in Vienna, my colleagues in Vienna actually went to the library to consult genealogy books with the family of Ursula von der Leyen, and actually this was proof that the grandparents, especially both grandmothers of Ursula von der Leyen, weren't related to this woman on the photo. So yeah, it asked a bit of investigation, but to go on site in a library to check specifically specific parts of these books, of these genealogy books, and families of Ursula von der Leyen. That's it. Thank you very much for listening, and don't hesitate to contact me on this email if you want if you have further questions, or if you want me to send you this presentation. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Theophile. And I think that now we have some time. I mean, we are over our time for the webinar, but we can have some extra minutes of discussion. I don't know if any of the journalists that are here today with us, if they want to comment on something or ask any question.
Our fact checkers are here to answer any question about the daily challenges they face. It's the life of a fact checker is quite interesting.
Or maybe they have their own comments. Maybe, I don't know, maybe anyone has come across anything yourselves. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was an extremely interesting presentation. I don't think there are questions actually, because it was so clear. I think we got a lot of really good stuff, and some things like driving 2 hours to fact check a bottle of olive oil that Stylianos did, and and all sorts of things, just goes to show that no topic is too little to actually have the full force of this very important, extremely important journalism arm of journalism, which is slowly becoming essential to what journalism is. I think there's no doubt that we got there with this, and this very, very good presentation, extremely good by all of us, by all our fact checkers, who shows that this isn't going away soon. Quite the opposite, because the more tools that are being developed to create cheats, if you like, the better our skills need to be to counteract those cheats. And this is something that's going to be essential to all newsrooms, I would say from now on, but I would say from since this started onwards. So thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. So I think, Pantelitsa, we can wrap up.
Yes, again, thank you to all of our speakers who were here today, and for the very interesting presentations that we have. I think by the end of this webinar, I will collect all the presentations, and we will also have the full webinar online. So you can also share this information with your colleagues. So I'm speaking to the journalists now, and also the students of journalism. I guess that we had like a very good first step into our collaboration with the Maltese Broadcasting Authority, and I hope that in the near future we will have more seminars, maybe in person the next time, but also other online webinars for journalists, but also maybe make it more open to the public audience in Malta. Thank you all again for being here today, and have a nice afternoon.